Hi, I'm Brandon Kilbourne, winner of the 2025 Cave Canem Prize. In my hands is the prize-winning book, Natural History, due out on November 4th from Graywolf Press. In this book, you'll find poems reflecting on the uncomfortable history of natural history and the discipline's ties to colonialism and slavery. You'll also find poems reflecting on the fieldwork in paleontology and the work of biologists that explore humanity's ties to the natural world. If poems involving science and humanity's ties to nature and the natural world interest you, please check this book out from Graywolf Press on November 4th. So, this first poem I'll read is called The Giraffe Titan, and the poem opens with a note. In the Museum for Naturkunde, Berlin, the dinosaur exhibition is composed largely of specimens excavated between 1906 and 1913 at Tindaguru, a site in the former colony of German East Africa, today's Tanzania. Of these dinosaurs, the most iconic is Giraffatitan bronchi. Coincidentally, European and other major world powers met in Berlin some 20 years prior to the dinosaurs' excavation at the Berlin Conference, where these powers negotiated their claims to regions of Africa for colonial expansion. At the feet of a precipice-tall skeleton, we wonder about the horrors of the Jurassic, predators stalking, then slicing into their prey. Walking among Berlin's exhibited bones, embodying bridge-span necks and column limbs, lance-point armor, and knife-lined jaws, we try to picture a world beyond our kin, subject to claws evolved as killing personified, laws of unremitting savagery. Imagine, on an over-muggy earth, a head towering above in the domain of treetops and dogfighting pterosaurs. Imagine the head-crowned neck crashing down like a felled alder, the impact thundering as if a deposed god was hurled to earth. In final moments, would the aged titan be able to imagine scavengers biting into its cold skin, its bones swallowed by tidal mud? Could it then possibly imagine a world beyond its kin, hundreds of thousands of millennia later, in which 20 men in Berlin would carve its continent into plantations, mines, and ivory hunting grounds? Their talents manifest in massacres charring within burning villages, famine's gaunt ribs slowly quelling rebellions, black skin in the mouths of ravenous empires. Even if so, why try wondering at all? A predator is a predator, after all, regardless of the time in Earth's history. They simply differ in their habit and the hunt. Some sink their honed teeth into a scaly hide, a roar professing their territory. Others convene over a landmass map, howling false claims in English, French, and German. This last poem I'll read are two sections of a longer poem called Dioramic Idols. Dioramic Idols. 1. Building dioramas, rigid and resonant. Deft hands stage untouched wildernesses, like requiems for guttering species. Returning from the bamboo understory, the red panda balancing on a thinning branch of canopy. Following the riverbank below the escarpment, 3 toucans navigating Bhutanese mist. These facsimiles of living anatomies motionlessly evoke a nature unscathed in our visitor eyes. Swept by the museum's alcoves, enclosing carefully arrayed wax leaves, croppings of mangles, gleanings of cloud forest, mounted skins of flow-birthed walrus and scree-dinned pica, we press a relic dream upon animal faces. Pockets of earth escaped intact, harmony rippling from advancing girders and asphalt, vanguard clearings for farmland. Hermetic behind their glass pane, the addaxes we find exotic, their coats candent against Libya's red sands. Yet we know innately the ecology of vultures, a zebra's rigored limb jutting from their throng, their raised wings veil their gore-riddled beaks. The hyenas stalk their frenzy. 2. October 17th, 1912. Forage, Belgian Congo. We negotiated the ransacking's trails, the train bypassing rock thrash rapids, the small station stringing coastal Boma to Stanley Pool, the steamboat chugging the horizon flood river, anchoring evening explorations en route to Stanleyville, the 7-month trudge alongside porting shoulders, the file of black torsos made pack horses to bring us to far-off Faraji, availing ourselves to inroads for felled ivory. We skirted like puddles yesterday's blood wrung out by charnel rubber. Bodies peeled to sap and bone, the numberless number. Hands littering the dirt like bullet casings, stumps shrieking for fingers, and palms piled in baskets. Bodies flayed to sap and bone, the numberless number. Bloodletting vines of chicochi, iron vines dangling from neck to neck. Flesh devoured by civilizing cannibals. Bodies flins to sap and bone, the numberless number. Colonies augur. Coffers and cargo holds brimming demand a wilderness reduced to piano keys, chess pieces, inkpad stamps, figurines of saints, trophies, erasers, tires, hoses, gaskets, stoppers for bottles, ornate inlays, curios from a romanticized continent. We stampede horns and claws, tusk and pelts, to the perished menagerie of quagga and bluebuck, passenger pigeon and great auk. Simply even to know this continent, bring its darkness under science's kin. A smear of blood sets in the creases of our palms. In the kerosene's sallow light, rain thundering upon our tent sprawl, the day's achievement, eyeless, stares back at me. Our third and final example of the northern white rhinoceros, its hide salted and drying beside bundles of tall grass, rolls of undeveloped film, and collected insects that shrink a habitat down to an alcove. I've always been more comfortable behind the camera than behind the rifle's sights. Photographing one of our hunters, proudly posing beside the hulking carcass, I can't help but feel the architect of death. Yet I know the photo of a mountain of bison skulls, the buffalo skinner standing on its summit, boasting from its bone-stacked height of our natural talent. Cuvier only deduced extinction in 1796. In little more than a century, we have already mastered it.